Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Here to give my normal disclaimers. Everything I'm about to say is not financial advice. You're responsible for your own trades, and everything I'm about to say is mainly my opinion on the market. And no cats, dogs, or pigeons were harmed in the making of this video. All right, that having been said, let's go ahead and start to take a look at things. The weekend, as we expect, would have been fairly boring, with not a whole lot happening. But I'm going to actually start with Ripple today because, I have been telling everybody on the server since 24 cents to be buying Ripple. Buy Ripple, buy Ripple. All right, so we've gone from 24 cents to about 29 and a half cents. So just because in the past I said buy Ripple, buy Ripple, buy Ripple, does not mean that you should continue to buy it as the price is going up, right? So let's just take a look at this. And I actually did a video on Friday where I said this is a good place for you to buy the dip, and this is a good place for you to manage risk. And this is that exact chart that I had. I actually came back to my computer after the weekend was over, first thing on Monday, looked at the same chart that was sitting right here in front of my eyes, and I'm like, this is perfect. This is perfect because not only did we just tag that buy zone right here that I had laid out at about 26 and a half cents, we didn't go anywhere near this stop loss. It was perfect. It was a bounce of support just as I expected to see. And this is a perfect case where we took our resistance and we flipped it to support. This is an exact case of that. So if I go to say a 2-hour chart and take a look at this, a couple things that I'll make note of here. All right, so first off, we had large amounts of consolidation in this area right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and expand this out just a little bit so we can see this. And if I take a look, we had resistance in many of these different places. So definitely this should have been counted as resistance, which we broke through. It counted as resistance again right here, which we broke through. And then it was resistance here, here, and here. And then we broke through. And then sure enough, here is resistance again. All right, so now let's take a look at it on the flip side. Let's take a look at it from a bullish point of view. All right, so we see this as support here, and I'm going to change this to a green color because this is now seeing as bullish. All right, so we had support here. We did have our little spring here, which took us up higher. So, when we see the bullish retest and a spring higher, we know that we're going to be moving up a bit from there because it's been significant resistance. And then when we spring up from it, this is going to be, it should be our support. And it was support here, but eventually did break through. But that's why we have stop losses, right? So what we have seen, we've actually seen two springs right after each other, one after another here. And this is on a 2-hour time frame, so we'll take that with a grain of salt. So let's just go ahead and zoom into this and take a look at this. I'm actually going to go back down to my 30-minute chart because there's a couple things that I've noticed here. And so what I'm seeing is where we had our previous resistance, we are now finding our support yet again. Okay, so this is good. So we have our support. We had a bullish retest of our prior resistance, which our prior resistance again is, we don't want this over here. Let's get rid of this, clean this up. All right, so we had our resistance here, and then we had our resistance again, and that was right here, and then it flipped to support. One could say that we had our third count of resistance right here. We had a little bit of consolidation in this area, then we broke through, and now we have this as support. Okay. A lot of people are asking, would you buy? Would you buy here? And in my opinion, we are still consolidating in a very healthy way above this yellow median line. So we'll just go ahead and point this out while we're at it. This is where I started this resistance level, which we happen to be consolidating right above right now. Right now we're sitting at 29 cents. In my opinion, we're getting close to some kind of a decent correction on Ripple. If you were to buy, say here where we're currently at like 29 cents, your upside potential isn't all that great. I do expect us, and again, my target here was to go to about 32 cents. You're only talking about 3 cents, right? And 3 cents when you're talking about a 30-cent asset is 10%, but when we were sitting there at 24 cents and we're talking about a 9-cent increase, we're talking about a 33% or maybe a 30% roughly increase in price. So lots of things can happen between now and then. We may not hit this high target. My suggestion is if you did buy at 24 cents, so if you did buy in this consolidation zone down here, where I was kind of instructing the people on the Discord server to be accumulating, if you did buy down here, my next stop loss is going to be where this entry was right here. So I would be looking to move my stop loss to basically where this red line is. This right here, or potentially this area right here. So I'll go ahead and mark this off, and I'm going to go ahead and mark this off right here. So those are the two areas that I would be looking for my stop losses if I bought in down here at 24 cents. And this would be for long-term holding, right? So I'm going to continually move this stop loss up. If we do happen to move up here to 32 cents or 30 cents or 31 cents, somewhere in this area, if we do continue to move up and we start to do something which is, might look a little bit like this, we consolidate here, we go up, we find new support here, and then we go up to this area. When we get up here, I would be looking for potentially this to be my stop loss, or this to be my stop loss. It just depends on how high we are at that point. Not really going to make any predictions at this time on how long it's going to take to get somewhere because we don't know. It could happen in 10 seconds. It could happen in, like a month, right? So this could take a long time to reach these targets. I don't believe it's going to take that long because I do think Ripple versus Bitcoin is probably going to go let me see. Let me go ahead and pull up this chart. I normally don't do this live, but let's go ahead and just take a look at this. If we take a look at this, let's move to say a 2-hour time frame and take a look and see what this is doing. It's looking really nice. We have our support resistance flip right here, which is pretty important, and that was at about 3,300 satoshis. Next area is going to be right here. This is going to be pretty interesting at about 4,000 because what we had there, we had our resistance right here, and that didn't look very good. Let me go ahead and just pull up these and make it a little easier to see. We had our resistance right here. We had a front run of support right over here. And then we broke through that support, and now again we're going to be looking at this resistance, and the resistance, it's pretty clear. It's going to be right here, right about 4,000. So I would say we wait for a while and see what happens when we get there. I do think that it is very possible that we do find resistance at that particular level. When we're taking a look at Ripple in this, what we do see is we see a little bit of a channel forming here, and this is on the Bitcoin pair, right? So there is a little bit of a channel. If we take it all the way down here, what we can see, actually, it's pretty clear that we did bounce off of that median line pretty well, and we're finding, a decent amount of support and, a little bit of a run here, but on a lower time frame. So if we move to a 1-hour time frame and we take a look at this, we're actually seeing this is going to be our support level that we need to hold, which is about 34.50. So 34.50, we had resistance fell way down. Fell way down. Went down to our median of this, and actually, now that I took this to a lower time frame, I can make this look a little bit better. So let's just clean this up a little bit, and let's just see how spot on this actually is in this channel. So pull the channel down to about right there. So that's perfect. That's a perfect test of the median line. And so right now we're consolidating above this. If we do happen to start trading above this, so if we consolidate, we move up here, find this as support, then I do think it is possible for us to get up to 4,000 or maybe even higher. On the first attempt of 4,000, I do expect there to be some resistance, and if we're able to finally push above that, I would expect it to be flipped as support. So you're always going to be looking for this resistance to fail, some consolidation, then a move above, and then a retest of that for a continuation in the upwards direction. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for Ripple. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is its own little beast. Let's take a look at this. Again, I still have this same chart that I was looking at last week. I haven't done anything to it. This is completely unchanged. I'm going to go down to a 30-minute time frame and just kind of take a look at the construction that we've been going over for the last few, really we've been going through this since the end of September. So we've been talking about this for quite a while. So let's just take a look and see. We just completed a very clear 5-wave structure, although this looked a little bit like a blow off top, and we had a clear rejection of that. We went lower. So now what is coming next? The couple things that I do see here that's very clear and obvious to look at. From down here at this point, we have an ABC to go into an A, B, C down to a B, and then we have this. This actually looks like a 5-wave to get us up there to that C right here. Now, this is a little concerning because just like we were looking at on Ripple, this is going to now be our resistance. And I'll go ahead and flip this red. And then let's take a look at the next area here, which is the prior support, which was right here. All right, so I'm going to mark that green because that was our support area. So this right here is what is actually causing us to see more downward pressure. So from here, and if we take a straight line over to here, you can see this. That was a clear support resistance flip. So that was our support. We fell right through it. And actually, if I go even closer, when we fell through it right here, you can see that we actually have that as our resistance. We had a wick up there. If I move to, say, a 5-minute time frame, I believe this is still within the purview of the data that we have available. Perfect. All right, so we have our support here, and then we fell through, and then there was our retest of our new resistance, and then we just continued to move down. Now, does that mean that I believe that we are just going to continue to move down? That's not what I believe, but nonetheless, it is our current resistance. So I do expect us to continue to honor that as resistance. What I will say here is we did have, another push down over the weekend. So we had our first push to 8,200 or close to it back here on October 11th. And then, of course, we had another push down, and that was yesterday, right? So yesterday, midday, we had we had our push down below 8,200, which was actually an algo target. If you weren't aware, that target was sort of what we were expecting from this up here, down here, and then up here, and then a move down. So that we were actually expecting this to happen down here at this range. Now, where are we at from here, right? So that's the next obvious question. We have a decent amount of support that we can see here. There was a lot of demand that's down here, and that was actually signified by the second time that we went down here to test this. So in this area right here, I do expect there to be a decent amount of demand. It happens to be at the 618, which is exactly what we would expect. So from our move down here at 77.65 all the way up to the very top at 88.2050, we had a pull down of that 618. But if I threw in the 65, then we would likely see a decent golden zone here. So let's go ahead and pull up the 0.65 and 0.65. Put that on there, and we were right halfway between. This was probably about 63% retrace from where we were at. So now that means we can pull out our little pitchfork, start all the way down here at the bottom, and go all the way up here to the top, and get as close as we can and pull down here. And we would expect with, again, an 80% probability, although we did sort of violate this down here just a little bit, we would expect with an 80% probability that at some point we're going to hit this median line. It still remains to be seen. We're still going to wait and see what happens, but I am somewhat bullish down here in the 82 to 8,300 range. We do have a new area where we would expect to see a little bit of support from prior resistance, and that's going to be in this area right here. So keep an eye on that area right there as well, which is sitting right at about 83.25. So I'd be watching that for a break. Now, if we break below this, does that mean that it's time to short? I would actually wait to short if we were able to get down here below this this low of the day on the 13th, which again was down there at about 81.50. If we break 81.50, then I would be looking to short a bearish retest of that 81.50 level. From here, this would have been the area to long, so that's why I'm not going to give my opinion. This is a good long area, but nonetheless, it does look fairly good. We did have a little bit of supply that we ran into up here, but we are now slowly starting to move back up in that direction. So, nonetheless, that's kind of what my opinions are, which I know is a little lackluster. I don't have any strong opinions on the market at this time. When we take a look at this without any of the lines or Elliott wave analysis or anything on here, it's clear that we had a 5-wave structure moving up, and then we had an ABC correction. This one happened very fast. This one happened very fast. So I would say that this is more of a 1-2, and we're in the process of creating another 1-2 for a larger 3-4-5 to go into our third. My guess is we probably are going to retest 8,800. And that is going to be somewhat bullish. So one thing that I do want to point out, and I'm going to have to go to another chart for this, and then I'll go ahead and wrap things up here. So taking a look at Bitcoin on the Coinbase chart, let me go ahead and move to a 2-hour chart so we can have a little more clarity on this. Let's just take a look at this. All right, so we're going to start from here and move over here. We can see that was our resistance. This is our resistance. But now let's pay attention to what we are actually seeing here. So what we're actually seeing is from this point up here, right? This looks very similar to what we were showing with Ripple last Friday. And let's pull this out here. We don't really have a test of this bottom right here, but we could likely, and again, I'm just kind of doing this on the fly here just to kind of show you what I might be seeing here. Bottoming formation from there, coming to about here. This is likely the best place for that stop loss if you are long, and this again is about 8,200. If we close below this 8,200, so in other words, if we start to do something like this where we move up and then we've come down here, we go below this and we retest that, I would expect lower numbers and likely would be going back down here to that 7,800 to 8,000 area. So that would be looking like the bearish scenario. The bullish scenario, I would say we need to do something a little bit like this. We need to come up here, find this as support, and then this would be our 3, and then 4, and then 5 coming up there, and then an ABC to come down here, retest this as support before we start to move back up. Okay, so I wouldn't rush into anything. This is going to take a decent amount of time for this to play out. So just wait for the setup to come to you and take it from there. But yeah, from this, if we break above 84.50, I would wait for a retest of 84.50, and we're looking for candle closures, right? To say that we broke above 84.50 doesn't mean that we wick above 84.50. We need to close above 84.50 and maybe spend 1 or 2 candles right above it, and then buy that retest of 84.50, and then you would be looking for, I would say at least 8,800, maybe even higher if we are able to do that. But I would say right now we do have a little bit of resistance that we have, in this area. So yeah, I would just be very careful about longing right here. I would wait for that clear confirmation that we have broken above 84.50, and then buy the retest, and then move from there. So that's just my opinion, right? Not financial advice. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. We had about 20 minutes here, good times, but thanks for joining. Feel free to, do the normal like, subscribe, share, tick the little bell, whatever the buzzwords are. Nonetheless, I do enjoy doing these videos, so I'm glad that you all enjoy it as well. Feel free to leave some comments and join the Discord if you're not in there already. Just go ahead and DM me, and I can send you a an invite to the Discord, and you can be in here chatting with us, and we're a nice group of people. So anyway, have a good day, everyone, and I will catch you all maybe not tomorrow, but on Wednesday